The border prosecutor is here with the captain of the guards and the financial chief to see you. Are they targeting the prison again? Upon hearing this, Aiden looked very relaxed. Because the border prosecutor was none other than Jaden, whom he had released not long ago. At the same time, the trio of money messengers were constantly discussing what to do. Captain of the guards, Rozon, spoke up. When meeting Lord Aiden, we must be sincere in our attitude. You have no idea how tragically Anthony died. After a moment, the three of them arrived at Aiden's office, looking tense. Aiden finally understood why the expansion of the prison cells was always rejected. It turns out that expanding the prison cells would affect your business. Upon hearing this, the three of them immediately panicked. Lord Aiden, we all have our difficulties. Please show mercy and let us off the hook. Unexpectedly, the next second Aiden's tone suddenly changed. Are you all begging with empty hands? As soon as the words fell, Financial Chief Doug quickly took out an envelope from his pocket. Here is half of the profit from the entire project. Please accept it, Lord Aiden. Flanda took it and was shocked when she looked at it, because it turned out to be a check for 100,000 gold. Then the three of them started to complain. It turned out that the financial chief, Doug, had profit targets every month. If the targets were not met, he would step down immediately. Doug had to rely on the gray industry to feed his subordinates. I hope Mr. Aiden will not pursue this matter anymore. We swear never to do it again in the future. But I did not expect that when Aiden heard what you said, it shocked both of them for 2.5 years. Since it can make money, why not do it? Not only do I want to do it, but I also want to expand the business. I want to send the prisoners out to make money for us. Upon hearing this, Doug asked, Are you suggesting sending prisoners out to work as laborers? Totally wrong. I was pondering an act called the Prisoner Bail Bond, where enterprises can lease prisoners from Rose Prison by paying a security fee. And I can guarantee that the leased prisoners are all safe. Just imagine, gentlemen. Prisoners who are skilled in sniping can serve as sniper instructors. The annual guarantee fee is only 10,000 gold. Prisoners who are skilled in horse taming can produce high-quality warhorses steadily. The annual guarantee fee is only 20,000 gold. We also have prisoners who can quickly dig tunnels. Of course, these are just the tip of the iceberg. Rose Prison has 1,000 prisoners. I will allocate a group of prison guards specifically for the inmates' attitude transformation. As for the issue of employer distrust, we can also organize a professional job fair. Once this model is established, it can form a cycle with your business. What do you think about this money-making machine? Upon hearing this, the three of them were instantly excited. They all expressed their full support for Mr. Aiden's career and are willing to persuade the congressman outside the prison to agree to this matter. Meanwhile, Flanda, standing on the side, quietly swallowed a mouthful of saliva. She had personally witnessed how Aiden quelled the riot. Naturally, she knew that he would not allow the inmates in the prison to be released just for money. But how similar it is to that scene. First, throw out the bait of 3 days of free activity. Then lead the prisoners into a set of unfamiliar rules. From the moment the prisoners accepted the rules by default, the initiative fell into the hands of Mr. Aiden. He can continuously interpret the rules to make the prisoners confused and eventually be disintegrated. If the last bait was 3 days of free activity, then this time the bait is probably the Prisoner Bail Bond Act. To employ a prisoner, one must bear a large amount of bail bond fees. Only the capitalists of City Silver can afford this money. And we need to know one fact. The so-called congressman is controlled by the capitalists. And mastering the capitalists can be said to indirectly master the parliament. So this is your way of becoming a wielder of the sword, Lord Aiden. Warden Aiden is actually going to give the prison guards a raise. And the wage increase is tenfold. But it turns out that someone else is actually footing the bill. After Aiden mentioned the Prisoner Bail Bond Act, it became apparent. Financial Chief Doug and the other two lowered their heads to study it carefully. After a moment, They patched up the loopholes in the act and prepared to immediately lobby the congressman to agree to implement this act. But Aiden said there was no rush. Next, I will have a meeting with the prison guards. It would be even better if the three of them were present. Then don't give them any chance to reject. Go ahead and have Flanda gather the prison guards directly. Soon, all 90 prison guards in the prison have assembled. Then Aiden spoke loudly. The theme of today's meeting is to commend the brave fighters in the prison riot. When he said this, the prisoners started to discuss. Do you think the warden is going to reward us with potato stewed chicken? After all, the prison food is so simple now. Aiden had already planned for this. No matter how to commend, there will always be someone dissatisfied. So he chose a simple and direct approach. From today, all prison guards who participated in suppressing the riot will have their salaries increased tenfold. It will be raised from the original 10 gold to 100 gold. As soon as the words fell, the prison guards present cheered loudly. And Doug and the other two also expressed their support for Lord Aiden. At this time, a guard raised a question. Lord Aiden, do you know how long this salary can be sustained? After all, the prison's budget has always been tight. Increasing the salary is not just for 1 month. It's not for 1 or 2 years. It's for as long as I hold the position of warden. The tenfold salary increase will be effective indefinitely. As for the issue of prison funding, you don't need to worry. Your salary will be covered by me and these 3 gentlemen. Upon hearing this, Doug and the other two suddenly sprayed out a mouthful of ketchup. Adult Aiden must not do this. What does raising the salary of the jailers have to do with us? And this is too much. The 3 of us simply cannot afford it. Aiden looked at the 3 people indifferently. Gentlemen, you need to know a fact. If it weren't for my group of jailers helping certain people cover up their mess, City Silver would be in chaos now. I'm giving you this opportunity to become the heroes behind the scenes. Besides, there are only 90 jailers in the prison now. This money shouldn't be too difficult for you. Upon hearing this, the 3 men finally spoke. 900 gold pounds a month is indeed not difficult for them. However, Jaden clearly remembers that Rose Prison was guarded by a group of experienced jailers. Aiden didn't explain much about this. Nowadays, Anthony himself has already been promoted. Those jailers who resigned because of him will probably come back one after another. But the prison won't be accepting such casual people anymore. Then he said to Doug, Since you are the financial chief of City Silver, should the pay raise for the jailers be considered as a gift from us? If it is a gift, shouldn't it be tax-free? As Doug heard this, he immediately felt embarrassed. Mr. Aiden, you have to understand, tax matters have always been managed by the tax commissioner. I really have no say in it. But I don't remember Dragon's Back Empire imposing a donation fee on the poor. Since it's not related to you, I will investigate who collected this money. When the words fell, Doug suggested that it could be negotiated. He also stated that prison guards should focus on managing the prison. Excessive and miscellaneous taxes should not distract them. Aiden expressed satisfaction with this. Then he spoke to the prison guards again. Since Mr. Doug has said so, remember to pay 5 gold in taxes on time every month in the future. For the prison guards, this result is undoubtedly perfect. But at this time, one of the prison guards started to cry. Dr. Aiden said my leg injury is too severe. I need to rest in a wheelchair for 6 months. I don't know if you would still want to use me after 6 months. Her words reminded Aiden as well. You can continue working during your recovery period. The prison is establishing a new department to align with the upcoming act. The new department's task is to lead by example, rectify the prisoner's mindset, and facilitate their smooth integration into society and workforce. Since your leg is not convenient, let's have you join this department first. The salary will be the same as other prison guards. The scene shows Succubus and Maddie in the corner. At this point, their plan is very successful. Aiden has not seen the injured werewolf so far. Maddie's next plan is to have Succubus and Aiden meet and be honest with each other. Succubus is already getting excited just thinking about it. I'm ready. Should I cover the head with a sack or use drugs? She said a word directly confused Maddie. You need to meet Aiden candidly. Of course, use your succubus skills to seduce him. Unexpectedly, Succubus told her directly that I cannot. This made Maddie's heart explode instantly. It turns out that Succubus did learn enchantment at school before. However, the young Succubus at that time was not interested in it at all. Instead, she was only passionate about erotic novels. Maddie is cracking up. Just then, her district chief walked over. She said that there is already a rioting prisoner willing to work for the prison, and he has passed the prison's ideological evaluation. She even specifically mentioned wanting to join your labor team. The person is your old friend, Snake Witch. Upon hearing this, Maddie's mindset exploded once again. What kind of nonsense test are you guys conducting? This person's motives are clearly impure. I refuse to recruit her. But obviously, refusal is ineffective. Lord Aiden has spoken. Any rebellious prisoners can be persuaded, as long as they are willing to give up violence. We can all generously accept them, even if they have some quirks. And so the pitiful Maddie and the Snake Witch have officially announced that they are going to live together. Warden Aiden has found himself in a dilemma. On one hand, he wants to kill the Ant Queen at all costs. On the other hand, the Dragon's Back Empire is determined to protect the Ant Queen. Because the Ant Queen's identity is very unique. She is the only one who escaped from the Forbidden Area. And this Forbidden Area is closely related to the founding of the Dragon's Back Empire. Let's first focus on the Ant Queen. She is performing a restoration surgery on Kim. Afshin, standing beside her, is boredly keeping an eye on her. While munching on an apple, she speaks out. I couldn't figure it out for 2.5 days. Why haven't you died yet? I'm afraid I have to disappoint you, Teacher Afshin. The prison has already sent my file to the Dragon's Back Empire. I'm afraid I won't die easily. Upon hearing this, Afshin's expression slowly became more serious. The next second, she suddenly burst into hysterical laughter. I didn't expect you to resort to such tactics to protect yourself. You are really disgusting. Ant Queen did not get angry about this. She said, as she performed the surgery, Aiden has never served as a senior official. Therefore, he naturally does not consider issues from the perspective of the country. I estimate he will be infuriated after receiving the rejection of the death penalty from Dragon's Back Empire. Thinking that he wants to kill me, but can't makes me feel relieved. Afshin looked at the bug on the ground and asked, What is this disgusting thing? The Witch Union never taught us about this. According to the Ant Queen, this bug is called a zombie worm, a unique and invincible creature from the Forbidden Area. They live in the swamps inside the Forbidden Area. The swamps in the Forbidden Area are not ordinary mud water, but unrefined aging spell venom. Once an ordinary person falls in, their skin will quickly decay, and new limbs will grow. At the same time, the zombie worm will take the opportunity to burrow into their body. It can symbiotically replace organs with the host, but the host's rejection reactions will cause extreme pain. Therefore, those who fall into the swamp will experience organ overgrowth, failure, and the agony of decay. However, the zombie worm can replace the decaying organs. So, it is considered a true release only when the human brain dies. After listening, Afshin couldn't help but ask, So, can Kim use the venom without being harmed, thanks to the protection of the zombie worm? No, Teacher Afshin. The zombie worm only protects the device I installed on her from being eroded. Kim herself doesn't need any protection, because she is not human at all. She's like a universal adapter, can be used with any device without rejection. No matter what surgery I perform on her, she can endure it without a scratch. Just like a container carefully crafted by the Creator, she can contain mountains and rivers. Speaking of this, Ant Queen is already close to madness. The next second, she suddenly spoke in a pleading tone. Teacher, are you willing to give me a chance? Just one night, and I can enhance Kim's transformation. Afshin just smiled at this. I didn't expect you to still be thinking about escaping. It seems you haven't figured out the current situation yet. Now it's not just people from the Dragon's Back Empire who know you're locked up in Rose Prison. Your direct mentor Gaia must know as well. And she wasn't looking for you just to catch up. She wanted to eliminate you personally. Upon hearing this, Ant Queen was instantly scared stiff. You should know that Gaia is a teacher who specializes in formulating regulations for the Witch Union. In order to protect Ant Queen, she has violated the regulations she set more than once. Therefore, she must kill Ant Queen. Otherwise, she will forever lose the respect of other students. At this time, she has already arrived at the outskirts of Rose Prison. As long as Ant Queen is released from prison, it will be a fatal outcome. So the current Ant Queen is afraid of being killed by Warden Aiden in prison. If released, she will face pursuit from her mentor. Early the next morning, the herald from the Heretical Judgment Bureau arrived at the prison. And the price was that he ran a horse to death. The reason for such haste. It is to prevent Aiden from sentencing the Ant Queen to death. Yes, the Dragon's Back Empire's judgment does not allow for the execution of the Ant Queen. Aiden is very angry about this. It was decided by Herald personally. He also brought a personal letter from Dragon's Back Empire the Third Prince to Aiden. Upon hearing this name, Aiden subconsciously broke out in a cold sweat. In his memory, Origin Aiden once served as the swordsmanship teacher for the Third Prince. During that period, the Third Prince said a sentence to Origin Aiden. Although he couldn't remember exactly what was said, Origin Aiden jumped in shock the moment he heard it. At this point, Aiden has already opened the handwritten letter. The content is as follows. Dear Aiden Gallo, long time no see. I have already learned about the news of Ant Queen being detained at Rose Prison, and I have participated in the resolution of the Heretical Judgment Bureau. I believe you may not understand the practices of the Judgment Bureau, so I feel it is necessary to write a letter to explain it to you. The only reason she was spared from the death penalty is that she had been to the Forbidden Area and managed to escape from it. Perhaps you might think that the Forbidden Area is just a potential hazard, but in fact, the Dragon's Back Empire's persistence with the Forbidden Area has a deeper reason. The Dragon's Back was initially just a border region of the Cine Empire. It was only after the war in the Forbidden Area ended that the Dragon's Back inherited most of the Cine Empire's territory, leading to the establishment of the Empire. However, this was a very passive transition legally. The nobles from the old Cine Empire increasingly feel that the Dragon's Back is not qualified to be an emperor, and there are even faint signs of a split emerging. Therefore, even if the Forbidden Area does not erupt, the Dragon's Back Empire will actively attack the Forbidden Area. We must seize the old capital of the Cine Empire and obtain the crown of the Cine 16 to consolidate the imperial power. So the Ant Queen must not die at all costs. We need her to understand everything about the Forbidden Area. This will greatly facilitate us in formulating strategies. With the Dragon's Back Empire making its official entrance, the Rose Prison is once again shrouded in lingering dark clouds. And where should Warden Aiden, who is at the center of the storm, go from here? First of all, the Dragon's Back Empire not only released the Ant Queen, they also created a special advisor position for her in the prison. The purpose is to allow the Ant Queen to provide intelligence on the Forbidden Area for the Empire in peace. At the same time, the prison should also do its best to fulfill all the advisor's requests. In other words, the prison is to serve the Ant Queen well. In addition, after hearing about the riot in the prison, the director of the Heretical Judgment Bureau decided to establish a branch in City Silver. This is to ensure the stability of Rose Prison. And the Third Prince also explicitly requested that Aiden be responsible for the site selection and construction of the branch. At that time, all the information on the Forbidden Area organized by Ant Queen will be handed over to the Heretical Judgment Bureau for unified processing. While reading the letter, Warden Aiden remained silent. After a moment, Flanda found the Ant Queen. Under Afshin's strict supervision, Kim's recovery surgery has been successful. Flanda then went on to ask the Ant Queen, "How much do you know about the Forbidden Area?" "I stayed in the Forbidden Area for 10 years. I have a good understanding of all aspects inside. Be aware that the current Ant Queen is unsettled. Although I don't know what happened, Flanda still said expressionlessly. Are you willing to exchange the position of prison consultant with the information from the forbidden area? Consultants are not restricted to the prison activities. They also enjoy exclusive studios and dormitories for work. Your situation is special. You need to report your itinerary to me 3 times a day. At this moment, the Ant Queen thought of her own situation again. Getting out of prison would mean certain death. But just as she was about to agree, action suddenly threw her out. Captain Flanda, do you think I can handle this? To be honest, I know a little about the forbidden area too. But when Flanda asked her if she had a way to break into the forbidden area, Action just awkwardly scratched her head and didn't say anything. So the consultant position eventually fell on Ant Queen's head, and she also promised that she would absolutely not escape. After all, there is still a Gaia watching her outside the prison. So the Ant Queen chose to lay low in prison for the time being. But she offended so many inmates during the riot. Therefore, she still needs to find a backer. On the other hand, Financial Chief Doug also arrived at the prison. He came to discuss the Prisoner Bail Bond Act with Aiden. But he felt a chill as soon as he entered the prison. It's because the corpse witch in the prison is about to disappear in 2.5 days. That's why the chill is so heavy. Doug soon found Aiden. He said, as soon as he came in, I just saw the Herald of the Heretical Judgment Bureau outside. Looks like Lord Aiden is going to be promoted. Because in City Silver, there is no shortage of uncultured upstarts. Relationships are what the elite class in City Silver most desires. As long as one knows a few high-ranking officials in the Dragon's Back Empire, their influence in City Silver will carry more weight. Of course, all of these are beside the point. He came to see Aiden for the Prisoner Bail Bond Act. Wanting to convince congressmen one by one to support the act would be too slow. So Doug came to have Aiden use his connections. I heard that you have a good relationship with a tycoon. He controls at least 30% of congressmen. If you ask him for help, progress will greatly accelerate. Upon hearing this, Aiden was a bit confused for a moment. How come he didn't know there was a tycoon he had a good relationship with? So Doug was actually talking about buying out the Rose Prison Brewing Project a few days ago. The boss of Golden Teeth. This person is named Golden Teeth Lutz, who not only controls a large amount of financial resources. He also established the most brutal private gang, Skeleton Gang. Rumors have it that this gang once overnight dismantled the long-standing gang, Blood Gang. He single-handedly established the position of Alpha in the North District of City Silver. This made many small and medium-sized enterprises become his puppets. In the end, these people formed a huge profit group. These Aidens are all in the know. Because of that Blood Gang Alpha Junior Dragon woman. She is still locked up in Rose Prison. After Doug mentioned it, Aiden also had some ideas about this Golden Teeth. Soon after, Aiden said to the guard behind him, Go fetch the voodoo doll of the corpse witch. Today, I will settle the matter between her and the junior dragon woman. The scene then cuts to Aya, who is persuading Kinga to quickly get up from the sick room. After all, Aiden has entrusted them with the task of guarding the prisoners. In response, Kinga just gave a cold snort. Let Aiden wait. Every time I fall into madness, I have to rest for a week. She then turned her gaze to the side. Lying next to her was District Chief Kinga. When he saw the two of them, he was angry because it was District Chief Kinga himself who had deceived her into beating the prisoner and then disappeared. District Chief 3 chuckled and said, We didn't disappear. Back then, we went to an even more dangerous solitary confinement cell. To be honest, so many years have passed, and you have grown a lot too. In this small hospital room, there is still a werewolf who got injured fighting for love. At this moment, she is looking out the window, contemplating something. Back when she was at the werewolf outpost, she heard the following words. Why do we werewolves have to self-harm for humans? Who would be willing to be someone else's dog? Humans and orcs both have their own gods to worship. Only our ancestors betrayed the orcs and joined humans. But now we have nothing. We can only become beasts enslaved by humans. Are you willing to let generations become slaves, or risk your lives so that future generations can live under the sun?" The man then smiled and looked at the werewolf. "If one day we die, you don't have to cry for us, because this is a deal we voluntarily made." Later, this group of people died under the flying knives of the bounty hunter White. They did not resist but chose to face death calmly. In the end, they painted a rune with their own blood. This rune also appeared behind the werewolf before. This is also why she can go head-to-head with half-god Ostina. Nowadays, this rune is still around. It appears in the form of a tattoo on the arm of the werewolf. Even the upright Warden Aiden. He could only do his best to disguise himself in front of capital and the powerful. It turns out it was just a short while ago when Doug worked to ensure the smooth implementation of the Prisoner Bail Bond Act. He then found Aiden and asked him to seek the support of the Golden Teeth boss. So Aiden rode a horse to the city silver. Soon he arrived at a place with extremely extravagant decoration. This is the winery under Golden Teeth. As soon as he arrived at the entrance, a man spoke to him. "Sir Aiden, our tavern is not open during the day. If you want to drink, you can come back at night." Aiden calmly replied, "I'm here to see your boss, let's." Little Mustache Guy waved his hand expressionlessly at the words. "Follow me. Our boss is in the backyard receiving the goods." So the two of them went to the backyard of the winery one after the other. But soon, Aiden stopped in his tracks. Because what appeared in front of him at this moment was a slum that looked like hell. But when he turned around, only then did he realize that behind him was a clean and tidy street. The people here were all dressed splendidly. It turns out that Golden Teeth Winery is actually built between the city center and the slums. Because the vast majority of people in the slums are farmers. It is they who supply food to the entire city silver. So building the winery here can reduce transportation costs. Just as Little Mustache Guy called on the guys to go and fetch the boss, a fresh tomato suddenly smashed towards Aiden. The person who threw it was a raggedly dressed little boy. He could only see him pointing at Aiden's nose and opening his mouth to speak. "So you are the one who sent Camilla Gangsterette, Junior Dragon Woman, to prison. You despicable villain." Before Aiden could speak, the little mustache guy on the side suddenly took a deep breath. Then he suddenly pulled out the dagger from his waist. "You little beast really have guts. How dare you insult the guest on Mr. Lutz's turf?" Hearing this, the boy's grandfather Park knelt down on the ground with a thud. "Sir, please spare him. The child doesn't know any better. I can make it right." All that awaited him was the merciless sole of Little Mustache Guy's shoe. "Compensate Mr. Aiden with your belongings. I even find his hands dirty." He then grabbed the boy's hair. "If you mess with me, at most I'll break one of your arms. But sorry, you've messed with the adult Mr. Aiden. If it's not handled properly, Boss Lutz will lose face." He then addressed Aiden. "Mr. Aiden, how do you want to kill him? Chop him into mincemeat or let the hounds tear him into pieces?" Just then, Diamond suddenly started making a fuss. Those similarly ragged people were pleading for the young boy's mercy. The next second, Aiden pointed his cane at the tomato on the ground. "My punishment for him is to eat this tomato. This kind of thing is pig food in our prison. So I want you to eat it." Upon hearing this, Little Mustache Guy quickly pushed the boy to the ground. Then he cried as he shoved the tomato into his mouth. In response, Aiden coldly said, "Today's matter is not going to end this easily. From now on, both you and your grandpa will have to come to the prison every day. Show me how you eat this pig food, and then I will let you experience the prisoner's instruments of torture." Then he looked at Little Mustache Guy and said, "Your winery's people, remember this. Don't cause trouble for them in private anymore. I will slowly enjoy this interesting show in prison." Upon hearing this, Little Mustache Guy couldn't help but burst into loud laughter. In his opinion, this was indeed a very sophisticated form of torture. The poor were disappointed, with faces full of disappointment. It seems that the hero Aiden, spoken highly of by everyone, is no different from these people. Indeed, the higher the status, the more vicious people become. At this moment, a man suddenly walked out from behind the little mustache guy. "How long has it been, Carlo? Why haven't you invited my dear Aiden in yet?" The person who entered was Lutz, the owner of the Golden Teeth Winery. However, Aiden's attention did not shift to him. Instead, he stayed in place and repeated the name of the little mustache guy a few times. Carlo found this very strange. "Is there an issue with my name?" Aiden suddenly smirked at the words. "Nothing. I just have a habit of writing down the names of interesting people I meet. And this so-called notebook is precisely a list of deserving recipients." Silly Carlo actually thought he caught Aiden's eye. He even felt a hint of pride. At this moment, Lutz spoke up. "Everyone says you are a judge who is fiercely against evil. But I never expected you to be so ruthless towards the borrowers. You have managed to this point. Haven't you learned how to package yourself yet? You must play your role well in front of the citizens. Only then can you cultivate their inherent impression. When you deal with residents that you dislike, the citizens will stand by you immediately." Upon hearing this, Lutz burst into a big laugh. "So, you killed Jack and Anthony for the werewolf case. Presumably, it's also to boost Lord Aiden's public image." When this statement was made, the air seemed to solidify. This is a blatant probe. As soon as Aiden's response is inappropriate, the winery's staff will immediately turn into gangsters. After a short moment of thought, Aiden said, "If Anthony had told me that Jack was his son, he should have come and visited me. This matter could have been settled long ago. Unfortunately, he didn't follow the rules and instead sent a bounty hunter to assassinate me directly. Do you think this is the attitude when seeking help from someone? Since he doesn't care about decency, I have no choice either." As the words fell, Lutz revealed his iconic golden teeth. Then he shouted, "Mr. Aiden is right. The law is the law. Rules are rules. I was worried about becoming the second Anthony at first. It seems I was thinking too much. I should have cooperated with Mr. Aiden earlier." Lutz turned to look at the winery's attendant. "Let's not misunderstand. Mr. Aiden is our esteemed guest. Even the famous Warden Aiden have to bow down to capital for the smooth implementation of the Prisoner Bail Bond Act. Warden Aiden was forced to find the boss Lutz of Golden Teeth. After some insincere pleasantries exchanged between them, Lutz led Aiden inside while expressing his emotions. When I first arrived at City Silver, except for the depleted mithril mine, all that's left here is yellow earth. But I still managed to establish myself here. The small and medium-sized enterprises in the city have to pay protection money to me. Nowadays, I have also secured a foothold in both the legitimate and underworld activities. Currently, only the giant company City Silver can compete with me. That's why I successfully acquired the winemaking project at Rose Prison. I intend to use Jade Foot wine to tap into the market of the Dragon's Back Empire." At this point, Lutz couldn't help but burst into a proud laughter. "As long as I turn Jade Foot wine into a luxury product in the Dragon's Back Empire, I will definitely become the alpha of City Silver." At this moment, Aiden spoke up. "I do have a way to help you become the alpha quickly. If Mr. Lutz is willing to promote the Prisoner Bail Bond Act, I am willing to represent Rose Prison in supporting you." I didn't expect Mr. Lutz to reject it outright without even thinking about it. This does make Aiden a little curious. "Don't you want the prisoners of Rose Prison to serve you?"